Hello students, how are you? I'm Mohammad Faiz, your chemistry mentor, and today we are going to start the second chapter of chemistry for class 9th, which is matter around us pure? In this chapter we will study about the chemical classification of matter. But let us talk about what we have studied in the first chapter. So in the first chapter, which was matter in our surrounding, we have already studied about physical classification of matter. As you can see here, matter physically can be classified into these 5 types, that is solid, liquid, gas, plasma and PEC. In the first chapter we have already studied about characteristics of these states of matter, also about interconversion of different states of matter, latent heat, evaporations, factors affecting evaporations and some other topics that we have covered. Now let's start our second chapter, which is matter around us pure? So in this chapter we are going to study about the chemical classification of matter. So this is a flow chart showing chemical classification of matter. As you can see, we can classify matter chemically into 2 types, that is pure substance and impure substance. Now this pure substance is further classified into 2 categories, which is element and compound. And this impure substances, which is also known as mixture, can be classified as homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. Now this homogeneous mixture is also known as solution, and heterogeneous mixture is further classified into 2 types, that is suspension and colloid. If we talk about the pure substance, which is of 2 types, elements and compounds. So you have studied in class 8 also that elements are further classified as metal, non-metals and metalloids. And this compound, which is of 2 types, organic compounds and inorganic compounds. So let us talk about each terms in detail. So let's start. So the first thing is how we can classify, how we can differentiate between impure substances and pure substance. What is pure substance? What do you mean by pure substance? So pure substance is that substance which is made up of same kind of particles. I mean, it is made up of same kind of atoms or same kind of molecules. So if a pure substance is made up of same kind of atom, then it is called element. And if it is made up of same kind of molecules, then we can say it is a compound. Now, you know, one characteristic about pure substance is that it has uniform composition throughout. It has uniform composition. For example, if you will take any metal, any non-metal, means any element like sodium, potassium, carbon, so these are pure substance. Why? Because they are made up of same kind of atom. If you will take 10 gram of carbon, so it will consist of 10 gram of carbon atoms only, not a sodium atom, not potassium atom. It has same composition. What is there? Carbon atom. If you will take some sodium chloride, which is salt, and it's a compound. So sodium chloride contains only the molecules of NaCl, not the molecule of KCl, not the molecule of ammonium chloride or any other substance. So why they are pure? Because they are made up of same kind of atom or same kind of molecules. But suppose if you have bought some milk from the market, or oil, or pickle, or even if you talk about a tap water, is it pure? Chemically, no. Scientifically, your answer is no, it is not pure. Why it's not pure? Because they are not made up of same kind of particles. If we will talk about tap water, it contains H2O, it contains some minerals, some salts. So there are number of particles present. Different types of particles are present there. So that's why they are not pure. If you talk about milk, so milk also contains cream, water and other substances. So they are not pure. So what is this? This is impure substances. So what is impure substances? They are made up of different kind of particles. They do not have uniform composition. Okay, their composition is not uniform. And one more thing about mixture is that mixture are made up physically. Means there is no chemical reaction taking place whenever the mixture is formed. We will talk about the mixture in detail in our next section. So let's talk about the elements and compounds first. So what is an element and what is a compound? Let's define it. So element is a pure substance first of all. It is made up of same kind of atoms and it cannot be broken down into simpler substances by any physical or chemical method. Again I am repeating, what is an element? So element is a pure substance which is made up of same kind of atoms and it cannot be broken down into simpler substances by any physical or chemical method. Now this element can be further classified as metals, non-metals and metalloids. For example, how we can say that any substance, any given element is a metal? You know, if the outermost electronic configuration is 1, 2, 3. If they have how many valence electron? 1, 2, 3. Then it is metal. If it has valence electron 5, 6, 7, then it is called non-metal. If it has 8 electron in their outermost orbit, then it is a noble gas, inert gas. Or if it has 4 electron in the outermost orbit, then it can be a non-metal or metalloid. What is metalloid? Metalloid is that element which shows the characteristics of both metals also and non-metals also. Examples of metalloids are just like silicon, germanium, selenium, antimony, bismuth, etc. So this is all about element. Let's talk about compound. So what is a compound? How you can define compound? So compound is a pure substance. As you can see here, compound is a pure substance. It is made up of same kind of molecules. Second point, it is made up of same kind of molecules. And the third point is that it can be broken down into simpler form, into simpler substances by the chemical method, not by the physical method. By the chemical method only, this compound can be broken down. So what do you mean by physical methods? Can you tell me? The physical methods like distillation, evaporation, boiling, by heating it. So these are physical methods. Sedimentation, decantation, these are physical methods. So by these physical methods, a compound cannot be broken down into its simpler substances. One more thing, very important thing about compound is that a compound, is made up of same kind of elements combined together in fixed ratio by mass. Compound is made up of same kind of element combined together in fixed ratio by mass. And this is a law that is called law of constant proportion. It was given by a scientist called J.L. Proust. Okay, scientist. This law you will study in chapter number 3, atom and molecule. So I am not going to explain it now. So what is a compound? Let's sum up. Compound is a pure substance which is made up of same kind of molecules, and it cannot be broken down into simpler substance by the physical method. By chemical method, it can be. One more thing very important about compound is that the property of compound is totally different from the property of its constituent element. What I mean? A property of the compound is totally different from the property of its constituent element. For example, let us take the example of compound like water. So as you know, water, that is H2O, it is a compound. It is made up of two elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen. And the ratio is 2:1. It means two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen, they combine together to give one molecule of water, H2O. So it is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. What we are going to do, we are going to prove that property of compound is totally different from the property of the constituent element. So let's see, what is the property of hydrogen? As you can see here, hydrogen is a combustible gas. It burns with a pop sound. When you will burn hydrogen, pop sound will produce. Oxygen, as you know well, that oxygen is the supporter of combustion. Oxygen is the supporter of combustion. If there is no oxygen, you will not able to burn. So, but when you will mix these two substances, when you will mix hydrogen and oxygen, what you will get? You will get H2O, water. Is it supporter of combustion? No. Is it a combustible substance, water? No. It has totally different property. It extinguishes fire. Water extinguishes fire. So this example shows that a compound has totally different property from its constituent element. Is that clear to you? One more example. Suppose if you have taken sodium chloride, that is table salt, common salt, we all have eaten it. We eat sodium chloride. It is edible. But sodium chloride, as you know, it is made up of, sodium chloride is made up of sodium and chlorine. So there are one atom of sodium and one atom of chlorine, right? One atom of sodium and one atom of chlorine. Together makes sodium chloride. So let's talk about the property of sodium and property of chlorine. So sodium. So sodium is a very reactive metal. Sodium, if you will keep sodium outside in air, it catches fire. So it's very reactive. Sodium is very reactive, even it catches fire when it is exposed to air. But what about chlorine? Chlorine, chlorine, it is used to kill the germs. Chlorine is used to kill the germs, to disinfect the water. It means you cannot use chlorine directly into your body. The chlorine is used to disinfect the water. So we write it, used to disinfect the water. But when we are mixing sodium and chlorine, what you are getting here? Sodium chloride, and it is edible. The property changes. So this shows that property of compound is totally different from the property of the constituent element. So what we have learned, compound is a pure substance. Second thing, the property of compound is totally different from the property of constituent element. Third thing, compound cannot be broken down into simpler substance by any physical method. By chemical method, it can be. By chemical method, it can be broken down. Let's take one example. Suppose if you have taken water, H2O, and if you will pass electric spark through water, or suppose if you will do the electrolysis. I think about electrolysis we have already studied in class 8. Electrolysis is breaking something by passing electricity. So by doing the electrolysis of water, it can be broken down into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. It means by chemical method like electrolysis, a compound can be broken down into its constituent element. But by the physical method, we cannot break. Am I clear? So this is about these things were about the compound. So I have written earlier that compound can be further divided into organic and inorganic. Okay, that is not a part of this syllabus, but you should know this. So what is an organic compound? What do you mean by the word organic? Organic means anything which we have obtained from living organisms. That is organic, living thing. So what are the organic compounds? Organic compound means it is present in the living thing. Means organic compounds are those compounds which contains carbon, hydrogen, and along with some other elements like oxygen, nitrogen. So these are organic compounds. And there is a separate branch of chemistry in which we study about organic compounds, and that separate branch is known as organic chemistry, right? And the compounds of carbon and hydrogen, it is called hydrocarbon. Compounds of carbon and hydrogen like methane, ethane, propane, ethylene, acetylene. So these are the hydrocarbons. So what is hydrocarbon? Hydro comes from hydrogen, carbon is carbon. So hydrocarbon, compounds of carbon and hydrogen. So I think it is clear. Organic compound. Example of organic compound, urea. Urea is the first organic compound which is prepared in the laboratory. And where it is found? It is our excretory product. What is inorganic compound? Inorganic. Inorganic compound is those compounds which is obtained from the minerals, from the rocks, from the ores. So they are inorganic compounds. So that's all for today. So today we have discussed about chemical classification of matter. We have talked about elements, compounds, their properties, how they are different. In next class, we will start our next topic, that is mixture. I'm going to give you notes also. Start making your notes. Let's recap. Now we will meet in the next class. Thank you.